Hey guys, Dan and Sally here, and we are here at the Canon event in Maui, Hawaii, testing out the EOS R.
So it seems like pretty much all the specs that leaked were about true, but we're going to test out this camera, take a look at all the stuff. Let us know in the comments what you want to see, what you want us to test. We're going to be using this camera the next couple of days, so we'll really be able to put it through its paces and do a whole bunch of stuff for you guys. So stay tuned, so much more stuff ready in just a little bit.
So we just got back to our room, and we've been kind of going over what we've been noticing about this new EOS R. And first thoughts, you know, it definitely feels a lot lighter than the 5D4. Feels very similar to the other mirrorless cameras that have come out, like the Sonys and such. One of the things I did notice, focus points. Took a long time to move them. So if you're looking through the viewfinder, you know, I'm trying with my thumb on the screen, which they said would work, and move the focus point, but it definitely lagged a little bit. And it took a long time to do. Yeah,
so we don't have a joystick, which is kind of what you would expect on a camera with so many different points.
Right.
Technically, they said it has like 5,500 different points, but you really have 380 zones that you're able to move those focus points around in. And yeah, it just took a little bit of a long time without something like a joystick on there, so it is something I wish we had. We do have full weather sealing on the body. I will say that the screen and viewfinder were definitely among the best I've seen, so you don't have any better magnification than most other cameras out there, but as far as the resolution on them and response rates, those seemed very, very good.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the dial on the back and your thoughts on that, the multi-function bar.
Yeah, it's kind of cool because it's new. It's not, I mean, we have things like this on other devices. Right now, what was programmed to was ISO. I did find it less responsive than a traditional scroll wheel or something like that. However, you can program it to do some cool things. You can have it like the left button on it will go to ISO 100 and the right button will go to 6400. So you can quickly switch. But using it as a scroll wheel, I found it's kind of iffy on the responsiveness.
Yeah, I agree. It's nice that it's very customizable, though. I mean, given you can change it to anything you want. I love customizable buttons. Absolutely.
In general, the camera is actually really customizable. Virtually every button, and it's even separate functions that you had for video. So I will say that was nice to see.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk lenses. The new releases, 28-70 f2, which is pretty awesome, a zoom lens with an f-stop of 2, a 50-1.2, a 24-105 f4, which we all tested out. Ergonomics on it. What do you think? So
the 28 to 70 millimeter was big. It wasn't quite as heavy feeling as I thought. It is over 3.3 pounds, which is up there. But it didn't feel as bad as I thought it would. It was definitely still to a manageable degree. It's still a pretty big lens, though.
The 51.2, I will have to say, is a lot bigger than the 51.2 that goes on the 5D4. It is a lot bigger, a lot more bulkier than the 50.
Yes, it's pretty expensive at $2,300, so it's definitely not a cheap lens on there. It focused well and seems to be pretty sharp, but we'll have to save kind of those details for a little bit later.
Right.
But overall, it seemed like a decent lens option they had. I do like that Canon is actually introducing professional lenses with these, so that's an advantage. And if you need something cheaper, you could go with the 35 1.8. So we have a decent lens lineup going into it, and then we have the kit 24 to 105 f4 zoom, which is pretty standard among these. Right. It's a little expensive at $1,100. It's more than you would find in some of these kit lens type things, but you know, it's available.
I think it's a little bit much for the price. I didn't find it to be any impeccable more than the other 24 to 105. Now the 28 to 70 will be $3,000. It's an impeccable lens. I mean, shooting on it was unbelievable. I tend to shoot wide when I'm shooting portraiture, so I mean, great lens, f2. I mean, come on, you can't really beat that.
Yeah, it kind of shows that Canon's doing some cool stuff with their lens mount on that. Now, they do have adapters. They actually have 3 different versions of the adapters for mounting all of your EF lenses on there. They talked about that a lot. Autofocus performance on those seemed really good, really responsive.
Right.
I expect that because this is, again, Canon making an adapter for Canon lenses on a Canon camera. So that is going to be way better performance than what we've noticed on, putting adapters on Sonys and things like that, where you're getting third-party adapters using different manufacturer lenses and having to kind of design those backwards. So this is a really good system. The adapters are going to start at $199. They actually have 3 different versions. One is going to have a circular polarizer in it, and the other one a variable ND. Those will be available not until February of next year. So this year is going to be the standard adapter that comes out with this. And yeah, I mean, it seems like a pretty good option for $199. Isn't that bad? So all of your EF lenses are going to mount to this, and you should have no issues.
So when it comes to autofocus, I mean, obviously it's going to be better than their other mirrorless systems for Canon, but I don't think it necessarily competes with any of the other mirrorless systems that have come out from other companies.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit better than most other dual pixel systems, but it just doesn't have the speed, accuracy that we've seen from some of the other higher end ones like Fuji and Sony. And
again, we had very limited time with it. We had very limited subjects to photograph, so we'll test this out more. And we don't want to say that it's conclusive on disliking autofocus because we weren't in the best of situations for that.
Right.
So
now, one thing that is really good about autofocus is that it actually works up to -6 EV. So as far as low light is concerned, and again, this is something we're going to have to test to see how they deliver on it. But it looks like if you're using a super wide aperture lens, this is going to be key. Now, that only works with an f1.2 lens. So if you're using like the 50mm 1.2, you should be able to see an autofocus in almost pitch black. So that is nice. So yeah, it'll be some hit and miss stuffs on the autofocus system, and we'll have to see how it works.
Right.
Another thing is we do not have in-body image stabilization. That's kind of a big deal. We do have image stabilization, a couple of the lenses that are released, but that's still very limiting. It's not 5-axis like you would have with the in-body, and it's really nice to have it on all lenses, and it's something that most other camera systems have right now.
All right, so you are more the video end. Give your perspective on what you saw with the video.
This is definitely an interesting one for video. It's going to be Canon's best camera for video, but there are a whole lot of weaknesses on this thing. Again, we didn't shoot much video tonight, so it's something we're going to do a little bit more of out in the field tomorrow, so definitely stay tuned for that. But initial is going to be that we have 1080p on there. With 4K, you're going to have a 1.7x crop like you do on the 5D4. It's the same sensor in there. You do have some cool things like C-Log if you're going output to a recorder. You do have 10-bit recording, which is nice. And so there are some really cool stuff about it, but as a conclusive camera, it's just, it doesn't look like they pulled out everything. You're going to have to deal with those crops. So as far as like a flip-out screen vlogging camera, this is going to be one of the better ones for 1080p use, but it's not going to do that 4K that we were hoping for in that mode. And again, we don't have any wide-angle lenses either, so you're talking adapters with it. So it kind of remains to be seen how this is going to function as a video camera, how you like it, but it's not as good as some of the other options that we have.
So this is just day one. We are going to be shooting with it all day tomorrow. And, comment down below, like we said before, and let us know what you want to find out about this camera. I mean, we're excited to test it out.
Yeah, I did set up a Facebook group, so you can actually check that out. If you have any questions in there, you can answer it. We can share images on that. So it's a little bit more effective platform for us to kind of communicate our thoughts on it and share pictures and ask your questions and answer those for you. So definitely check out that Facebook group. Canon was very interesting in how they proposed this camera. They definitely said that this is a camera that you are adding to your existing bags.
I want to emphasize that we're not talking about switching to the EOS system, to the EOS R system. People can add this mirrorless system to their existing EOS kit.
So, we're shooting with it. You have a 5D4 on you.
Right.
This is a camera that you add onto that kit. You used in that kit. This is not going to replace those cameras.
Right. They said that multiple times. They said it will not replace your 5D4. It's just adding to your current collection because of the lack of glass as well.
Yeah, this is similar to what Nikon did as well, but this is a little bit cheaper camera than what Nikon introduced with their Z7. So we'll have to see how this responds. Again, check that out. Thank you for watching this video, and so many more questions to answer, but we'll try and get those to you.